All right, so this is the beginning of the 2021 garden, and it's not looking too great right now. Had some issues. This is the garlic that I planted last fall. This is a scape that's coming up. This is music garlic. I've got another scape coming right there, so these are going to come out. I had a third one in the middle, but the chickens kind of tore it up when we let them in the garden. I haven't put any of the straw down yet. This is one of the tomatoes that I planted. It's pretty small. And I planted some peppers, which dropped all their leaves, and so they're super tiny. I planted these two tomatoes. These are Cirkovic Yugoslav tomatoes. Those are the zinnias that I planted. I did plant some seeds here, some squash and some other things, but they haven't come up yet. These I actually had to buy. These are red night peppers, but they're looking pretty good. So this is kind of the bed that I had a bunch of zucchini in last year. So I just kind of threw a bunch of random things in here just to take care of it. And basically I've been putting the chicken bedding / manure we've been piling it up over here to kind of compost it a little bit more before we add it. So this is the large bed that I had full of potatoes last year. I just shoved a few potatoes in my experimental bed because even though I like growing potatoes, it's not my top thing that I feel like I should be doing with my garden. So this is some more garlic. This is, I think, Moreno garlic, which is another hardneck. You notice this one's producing a scape. They're a little bit yellow. They came up really, really early. This is some more of this red night pepper. Over there, that's actually a beet that I planted in the fall that's actually going, it's going to flower. So I'm kind of keeping it around just to produce seed, kind of as an experiment. Right here, I've got my tomatoes. And they may look pretty small, but they're doing a lot better. This one, unfortunately, of all the rain we've had, I think it's kind of gotten flooded out, and I may have to replace it. So it's not doing so hot. I think these are all Beefmaster, or at least these are F3 Beefmaster. So I've got some Beefmaster there. I think these are either more Beefmaster or Cirkovics over here. So they're coming up pretty well. I've got what was my early bed last year, which I tried to move to an experimental bed, but that really did not take off very well. So instead, I put in my tomatoes here. So these are all the Cirkovic Yugoslav, which is one of my favorites. And they're doing pretty well. They're a little small, but they're not too bad. My peppers, however, that I tried to grow, they dropped all their leaves and did this. So I've just got this tiny little, these are Edgevarskis. But this one over here and the other little tiny one in the back, those are actually from grocery store seeds, which I just thought, why not? Let's just throw some grocery store seeds in a pot, and they started growing. Then I've also got some onions right here. So we've got the onions that are going to be producing flowers, and I just thought I would save those for seeds. These are the best right here of the Edgevarskis that I started myself. They were the only ones that were halfway decent sized. The rest of these really didn't do so hot. So we kind of got a little bit of a pepper issue. Right here, these are the cherry tomatoes. So I've got one there, got one here, and again, kind of the wet and the rain, I think, has really not helped them very much. I kind of have the same problem over here. I do have some okra that is coming up. This is a self-sown bean. So I've got some random beans coming up, but I've got some okra as well. This was a big tomato bed last year. Had some peppers and some beans. So what I did this year is I did zucchini. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 hills of zucchini. Then I've got, these are dragon's tongue beans over here. These are all bush beans on the side. And then basically I put in a second set over here, and they haven't really come up yet. So hopefully they'll show up pretty soon, and hopefully we'll get some nice zucchini out of this bed. We'll have to see with the zucchini, the squash bugs. Sometimes they change their mind about things. Here we've got our bean towers. So right here I have the experimental fuzzy pod pole bean that just kind of showed up last year. These are seeds from my Seychelles over here. We didn't get the best germination. I threw a few more in. These are our purple pods, and I don't know what it is up with our purple pods, but they always seem to do pretty well. So I've got another set of purple pods over here, and then back here I've got the Hopi yellows. So these are one of my favorite beans, even though they don't really start producing until late. I really enjoyed them last year. So I planted, instead of one bean tower, I planted two. Now, one thing we do have here, these peppers are starting to get flowers. So this is Red Knight. And this I think is an F1, which normally I don't like planting F1s, but I really had California Wonder out here, which is kind of a generic pepper plant. So the fact that they died, I wasn't too upset about, so we just replaced it. Oh, and we did have one volunteer potato from the potato bed last year, so pretty neat. And we've definitely got flower buds on these guys, so next year I'm just going to have to remember to start the peppers earlier, and definitely make sure I fertilize them and give them much more space, so larger containers. Small containers and peppers do not mix. That's kind of my learning experience from this year. So right here, this is my one Corona pepper. So you may remember I grew Coronas last year. They didn't do so great, but I started them even later last year, so they were about this size last year also. And I eventually got some peppers out of them, but it wasn't great.